Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to open it up with questions for Coach Day, and we'll start right here, front row. Dave.
Ryan, it's such an interesting dynamic with the coaching situation right now. Can you kind of clarify, just like right now that Urban's back, is it your role, is it as simple as you're in charge game days and he's in charge through the week? Can you kind of just break it down for us?
Yeah, Coach came back today, and we had a meeting early this morning. He's been meeting with some of the players, and so things are back to normal. And obviously he won't be there for game day, but everything else is back to normal.
You touched on the up-tempo offense after the game, that it might be a little too fast at times. But if it keeps the defense, if they're extremely uncomfortable, and you guys are maybe a little bit uncomfortable, is that kind of a good trade-off? Does that make any sense?
It was really hot. I mean, it really was humid, even in warm-ups and leading up to the game. So it took a toll on both sides. So then it kind of got a little sloppy there for a little while. But we did play some depth in there, and I think that was to our advantage in the games that we have, shoot almost 10 deep at receiver. We're 3 deep at tight end, and we actually rolled the offensive line in a couple points during the first half. So that was to our advantage.
Front row right there, Bill.
What was the reaction when Urban came back today? Was it strictly normal, or was there any?
No, I mean, a lot of the coaches really hadn't seen him much again, so a lot of embracing and great to see you back. But when we got back to our meeting, we had our meeting and it was kind of business as usual.
And how was his demeanor? How would you describe him today?
Coach is coach, and talked to the staff about moving forward, going to the game. We kind of debriefed on Saturday's game, and so now we're kind of working at game planning today.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, I've heard more than once that the biggest jump you'll ever see a player make is between their first game and their second. I wonder if you think the same is true of head coaches, and if so, where your biggest area of growth might be as a game day coach from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, I mean, everything was for the first time on Saturday, and so there were a few things there that just made some notes on. A couple things, going from offense to special teams to defense, like even at the end of the half, being aware of the situation, making sure I was right there in case we needed timeouts, or communicating with Greg and the guys on special teams. So anytime you do something for a second time, it becomes easier and just more efficient.
How long this week do you make sure that this isn't the equivalent of Urban writing the first 14 chapters of a book and then leaving you to write the big finish? How do you?
Well, I said it last week that so much of coaching is done during the week. So, today the game planning, the decisions that are made up to the game is really what most of the coaching is done. And then once we get on the field, the game plan's in, and now it's just a matter of calling the plays and kind of going from there. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of coach's back, and we're going with coach. And then once we get to the game, the decisions are almost made before we get there. So.
Front row left, Bill.
Ryan, I asked you a little bit about the tempo after the game, and I know it changes throughout depending on game situation and score, but coming into this season, was there any desire to want to play faster, at least at the beginning of the game, and is there anything about that suits Dwayne better?
We talked about playing with tempo. We played with tempo last year as well. I think that our guys are suited for that. What Nick has done with those guys in the summer, getting them in shape, especially the guys up front, they run well, they're athletic, really good. So that was kind of our thought process going into the season, was that we wanted to play with some tempo. And also, for a young quarterback at times, you get a feel for, does it stress him out, or does he feel more comfortable in that environment? And we found that it does make him feel a little bit more comfortable. All of our quarterbacks, they like playing fast, and so in the no-huddle offense, I think they feel comfortable playing at that speed.
And then with you on the sideline and Kevin in the box and Urban not there to be part of the collaboration, just how did you feel the play calling went, and how did that maybe impact the speed at which you were able to play?
I thought it was pretty efficient. I mean, it seemed like we were moving at a good clip. We were snapping the ball pretty fast. I think guys were getting up and getting set. Talked to the receivers, the quarterbacks, and the guys carrying the ball to get the ball to the official a little bit better so we could be more efficient. We looked at that on film. Thought that was good. But the overall operation I thought was clean.
Second row left, Ari.
Ryan, when it comes to Jordan Fuller, do you have an update on just how his hamstring's doing? And when you guys looked at the tape of some of the defensive breakdowns in the secondary, what did you guys see there? Was it just young kids making mistakes, or were there easy fixes there?
Yeah, Greg's going to be coming up later, right? Yeah, so Greg can kind of address some of that stuff. But I think Jordan was a game-time decision coming down on the field. Sean and the guys were working him out to see if he could do it. We felt like it was better to hold him, so we made that decision. And he's getting treatment today and obviously this weekend. So looking forward to getting him in practice this week and going from there.
And then, yeah, one quick follow-up about offense now. DeMario McCall is somebody that a lot of people are very interested in, and
Yeah.
now I know that he was supposed to be a return man and he didn't really see the field much. What's his status in terms of, is it just too many people return, it's going to be hard for him to get on the field, or what's just your general viewpoint of DeMario McCall's role in this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's part of a group that's pretty deep right now. So he's working his way up. He had a nice return in the game. I think it was 26 yards. Really did a nice job there. Ball was high, nice and tight. So ball security. So anytime you put that on film, that's just going to give us more and more confidence to put him back out there.
Second row right, Tony?
You mentioned the receivers and the depth, and I know one guy will have a big game this week, might be a little quieter next week. Terry McLaurin, one of your leaders on the team, you've only known him for a couple of years, but he's come a long way, and he's worked so hard, and he has a game like he did last week. What does that do for you as a coach? How does that make you feel?
That was probably one of my, in terms of looking at the game and watching the film, something that was, I was proud of him because Terry has put a lot of work in here. You know, he's a captain. He's one of our best practice players. Practices really hard. He blocks really, really well. Does all those things. And so, there, like you said, there's been times in his career where it's faith without results, where just keep running the route, Terry. The ball's going to find you. Just keep running the route, and it did. And so, really happy for him. Well deserved. You know, and I think that's a start to a great year for him.
What does it say about that group where they can go a game without a catch, but nobody seems to mind?
Yeah, it says a lot about that room and the leadership in that room. I think sometimes as receivers you can get selfish. I don't think that's a selfish group. I think they pull for each other, and they know that if we are playing fast and we are playing depth, that they need each other. And so I think they lean on each other, and so it does say a lot about that group.
Front row left, Mitch?
Ryan, obviously Mike Weber had a great day. Were you happy looking back on it, the way that those guys, Weber and JK, were rotating, and is that what we're likely to see this week?
It is. Yeah, kind of like we talked about going in, and you know, I keep saying it's a two-headed monster. You got two guys going there that are really, really talented. And I, you know, sometimes it is the way that the play was blocked. You know, where we got Mike to the safety a couple of times, but Mike, you know, made those plays count. You know, he made those safeties miss on several occasions, and so he was running downhill. But JK played well as well, and so we'll continue with that kind of rotation. And they need each other. Like we said, same thing when you are playing. I think we had 91 plays to film. I don't know how many of those were penalties, but it was high. You need to play depth. And then you saw Brian and Master get in there and also run the ball when they had a chance as well. So good group as well.
Fourth row left, Dan?
Obviously a little bit of a unique situation you've taken over the weekend. When exactly do you get the reins back for Saturday or Friday night or whenever? And are you doing anything different to try to make sure that transition goes smoothly?
No, we're going to kind of just pick it up from where it was when Coach was here. Coach, he'll be with the team on Friday. You know, we can't be with him on Saturday. But other than that, we'll keep the routine, which is what we did last week. We did everything we would do normally. And now it's just great to have Coach back so we can keep this thing rolling.
Did he beat everybody to the office this morning, and how eager was he to get
I don't know. Yeah, I know he was excited to get back here.
Third row left, Dan?
Ryan, now that you have a game as a head coach under your belt, do you feel like as you go into these meetings with Coach Meyer, with the rest of the coaches on staff, that you can take a little more influence, or that maybe you have a little bit different input than you had before?
No, I mean, I think it's been a group effort the whole time, you know, and I've referred to these guys and everybody on this staff, like I've said a million times, how unbelievable this coaching staff is, and it's been a group effort all along. So, I don't think I've done anything more than what's required in this situation. So now we have Coach back, kind of keep that going as a group effort as we move forward. I also think that when you look at our staff, you know, the way our staff is built, you know, on offense, it's Kevin and I working together. And then we have, you know, Greg, Tony, Brian, and the whole offensive staff. It is a collaborative effort. And, you know, we take a lot of pride in that. Everybody has a certain area that they work on. So somebody might have third down, somebody might have short yardage, somebody has the run game first and second down. And so everybody adds that into the game plan, and that's what you see on Saturday.
Did Coach Meyer give you an assessment on your performance this morning?
I think that the comment he made was, you only had to punt once, huh? And I said, yeah, so that's a pretty good day. I said, yeah. So.
Front row right, Austin?
Ryan, one of the first things that Dwayne said when he came out on Saturday was talking about the interception, not the good stuff that happened. I imagine as a coach, that's kind of what you'd rather hear, that they're looking at the mistakes, not what they did well. And when you guys looked at that play in particular, or maybe some others for Saturday, where do you see room for him to throw?
Well, I think what happens is as you step up, into the conference and some of the games get a little tighter, the decisions that you make become more and more consequential. And so he needs to understand that. We all do. It wasn't just the throw either. There was a little bit of breakdown up front. He got forced to throw the ball a little bit sooner than he should have. And so that's how you can lose a game. And so we have to understand that, as a whole offense, one play can ruin your whole afternoon. And we have to be aware of that so that as the games get closer and closer, we're on top of that and we're, making good decisions to manage the game. One thing I do want to say about that interception, though, that was really remarkable was the effort on that play to tackle the ball carrier. It was a crazy play and the ball squirted out. And the two guys in particular, if you go back and watch the film, that ended up getting them down was Benjamin Victor and then Isaiah Prince. And to see 59 running the length of the field to make that tackle was really amazing. Wasn't a fun play to watch. It was a mess, but the effort on that play to get him down was remarkable.
When it comes to getting Tate involved, was that, when he came in that first time, was that always part of the plan? Can you take me through just how you approach maybe not disrupting the offense, getting Tate involved, how that plan will go moving forward?
I think it'll change as we go into each week, and what we see with the defense. We want to kind of get them in the game. How it plays out, can't really predict how that's going to work, but we definitely want to get them in the game and let them go play.
Front row left, Doug.
Ryan, just to clarify, did you move your stuff out of Urban's office last night or this morning?
I think you know the answer to that.
Dwayne, it seems like Dwayne throws in rhythm. It's middle of the field, those intermediate throws. Just how comfortable is he making those throws, and how good is he at sort of just evaluating, this is where this should go, my guy's there, let's do it?
Yeah, the ball comes out of his hand quick, as you can see, and he does. He's a rhythm passer. But so much of that has to go with the protection. When he has a nice pocket and the guys are doing a good job of protection, the spacing is right, the separation with the receivers is right, then that's when you can see we get into a rhythm, we get into a tempo. That part's good. If there's a breakdown anywhere along the line, that's where you can disrupt a passing game. So we spend a lot of time talking about that in our offensive line, and Coach Stud does a great job in protection. We have to block some really good guys on defense every day, so that helps us in these situations. But it is a collaborative effort. He does get the ball out, quickly though, and he's accurate when he throws it.
Why did he throw the ball 50 yards down the field more?
Why?
Why didn't he just throw 50-yard deep balls every play? He's got a big arm. Why aren't you guys just calling shots after shot after shot after shot?
Well, first off, if based on what the defense is giving you, so if that corner's playing really, really soft and they're giving you stuff underneath because maybe they're respecting our speed, then you have to take the stuff that's underneath. Secondly, when you're playing fast, if you run a guy all the way down the field and possibly miss the throw, it takes a long time for him to get all the way back. So that all that stuff goes into consideration. But you have to take what the defense is giving you. You can't force things down the field. And that's, some young guys want to do that. They want to take their shots. They get hungry. They want to take a shot down the field. Well, if there's a safety sitting in the middle of the field at 25 yards, you can't throw a post. And so that's all part of maturing.
Over to the right, Ben.
Coach, did Coach Meyer give you any advice on what he thinks you could do better this Saturday? And separately, completely non sequitur, any reaction to Joe Burrow's first game and some of the outpouring support he got from some of his former teammates?
Really happy for Joe. Texted Joe and his parents just to let him know how much I was happy for him to see him out there playing, and really happy for he and his family. And it was great to see him get a win. I did see him, I don't know what happened, but in the scuffle before the game and kind of the mix, which didn't surprise me. He's a competitive guy, and so it was funny seeing him out there. And the other question, no, there really wasn't much conversation about that with Coach.
Front row middle, Tim.
Follow up on Bill's question about tempo. I know Saturday you mentioned the 50-50 split for JK Mike. How necessary is that to make sure that you don't need to pull one of those guys out for a series because you want to keep that tempo? Because I think it was only one drive when you had the first team in that you switched in between from one back to another. Do you need those guys to go that full drive to have that tempo going?
It's a good question. We actually talked about that in meetings. You know, sometimes when you go with a series that there's 4 plays, they're just rolling. You know, we had a couple of those drives. But then if it gets into the 6, 7, 8, 9 play range, it also depends on what he's involved in. You know, if he just had a run for 10 and he kind of turns around and runs the ball over here for another 10, and now you get to play 4 and 5 and he starts to show fatigue, then that might be a time to get him out. And so we're communicating all that on the headset, talking about when we can take a guy in and take a guy out. Because the other part is when you sub, then the referees will slow you down. When you don't sub, then we can go as fast as they put the ball down, the referee gets out of the way. But if we sub, then they'll slow the game down. So all those decisions come into play during the game.
Second start for a quarterback is always interesting because now there's a full amount of game film on him. As a coach and someone who obviously works specifically with quarterbacks, how do you manage that sort of chess match, knowing that now defenses have a little bit more knowledge of Dwayne, and how do you have to mask tendencies and just continue to evolve to make sure they're not keying on anything you guys were doing on Saturday?
I think you talk about it. I think that you try to figure out early on what they're doing. Like we were saying going into the game last week, we had to figure out in the first quarter what they were doing. And then also on third down, they'll have something cooked up on third down. So just making the quarterback aware that there may be something new, and if there is, and maybe we weren't prepared for it, and it's something that's catching us off guard. The first time you see it, it can't ruin the game. You check the ball down, maybe we have to punt. We get on the sideline, we make the in-game adjustment and get it fixed.
Second row left, Tim.
Yeah, Chris Olave is a guy who was maybe a little bit under the radar in recruiting, but he's clearly made an impression on the staff and some of his teammates. So how has he been able to do that, and what kind of role can he have this year?
Yeah, Chris, I was fortunate enough to recruit Chris. I was out recruiting a quarterback out in California, and they said, we have this great receiver here. He didn't play his junior year, and so we watched him play his senior year and really just tore it up the first few games, and we fell in love with him. Comes from a really good family, forced sport athlete, and we knew right when he got here that he was special. He's got really good speed, great hand-eye coordination, and so his work ethic to go along with that has been excellent. And I think he's got great guys in the room to follow. I mean, when you're sitting right next to Paris Campbell and Johnny Dixon and Terry McLaurin every day watching the way they go about their business, then it gives you a great role model moving forward. So proud of where he is, and I think he's, you'll see him at some point have an impact on the season.
Front row right, Tim.
Yeah, Ryan, just as you look back on Saturday, what is the biggest thing you learned as a head coach in game? What is that thing that just sticks with you right now that you didn't know 48 hours ago?
I don't know if there's one thing. I think that, again, like I was saying before, being aware of everything that's going on. So, like, for instance, if we're trying to make an adjustment on offense and maybe the defense needs a timeout, the coach has to call the timeout. So being available to have communication with special teams, being available to have communication with the defense. Are we looking to go after a punt? Are we not looking to go after a punt? Are we going to return it? Those type of things while we're trying to make adjustments on the sideline with the offensive line, running backs, quarterbacks, and such. So I think that whole thing was probably the biggest thing that kind of caught me a little bit. And, so you learn from it. We'll be better this weekend.
What did you see? Did you see anything that told you Oregon State was respecting the passing game more than maybe other defenses previously, or in different ways, meaning with Dwayne back there, with a better gun, for want of another term, than JT had? I mean,
No.
Did you see anything that was like?
I know you're asking. Yeah, you're saying that was it softer coverage or the box less loaded? No, didn't see that. Now we did come out early and throw the ball a little bit, so I think that may have affected it. But then you got to still deal with Mike and you got to deal with JK. So it was soft. The corners were soft. There wasn't as much challenge on the line of scrimmage. Then that may also be the respect for our receivers. But we didn't see anything there that caught us as unusual.
Yeah. And God forbid something happened to it, Dwayne or Tate. Who's your third quarterback now?
Well, we have 3 guys there. Matt Baldwin is this week will start doing some more. So we'll see how he does this week. He's getting closer. Chris Chuganoff is a graduate transfer who just kind of showed up. He's kind of like a guy who got signed off of waivers, and he's here. But he just got here, so he's learning the offense, and so we'll see how he does this week. And then Corey Curtis Was our third string quarterback in preseason camp. So all three of those guys are kind of helping out a little bit. They're all working to improve, and I think as the next couple of weeks progress, we'll have a better idea who that guy is.
One my last question. When Urban showed up today, was it obvious in meetings and stuff that he didn't just sit around for a month? I mean, could you tell he was up on Rutgers, up on maybe Texas Christian? What was the sense you got of him and the homework he did in his off time?
Oh yeah, no, Coach was right in tune with everything that was going on. Yeah, right from the start today.
We've got time for one more question. Back row middle, Murph.
Kind of following up on Bill's question about the deep passes. Was it a plan to attack deep given Dwayne's arm, or do you just kind of let you go into a game, like you said, take what the defense gives you and approach it that way?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we want to challenge people horizontally. So, some of the bubble passes that we got to Paris, and then, some of the speed sweep that you saw him kind of going sideways, that was kind of our way to stretch it horizontally. And then we want to stretch it vertically, and that's with the shots down the field. But again, if they're playing soft, you can't force it. You can't force the action. You got to keep us in rhythm. And when you're playing fast, if you play in rhythm and guys are softer and you take the underneath stuff, we called some plays that in certain coverages would dictate throwing a post or a seam or down the field. But because the coverage was softer, you saw us come underneath and get some completions.
And just if you haven't seen it, how have you liked Dwayne's deep ball throwing in terms of, I know he's tracking the completions and whatnot, and that's been a big thing. How has he done with that?
He's been good. Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, in practice, and we work on it a lot. The receivers do a good job of tracking it. So, we'll see the more we do that in the games, then we'll kind of see where it's at.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.